Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, it's Barry.
And welcome to another episode of the Collecti-Bros podcast.
Welcome to the laboratory of Jean-Paul Gasset. You'll witness before you a phenomenon like no other, a man of the sea, Seaman. This legendary creature will be dependent on you for its life's blood. You'll begin right here in Gasset's laboratory.
On this episode, is it worth it? Seaman for the Dreamcast specifically. First, I'd like to invite you guys to check out our social media. We are at Collecti-Bros Pod on all socials. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. That being said, let's talk about some Seaman. What is Seaman? Well, the best way I can describe this game, it's a virtual pet simulator. This is one of the most unique experiences I've ever... I don't even want to say play. I feel like saying played is the wrong word. This is an experience, man. There's truly nothing else even like this game. Even Seaman 2 is not like this game, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But let's go over some facts really quick. So when this game was made in the early 2000s, put yourself in that mindset. If you're around our age, I remember like having a Tamagotchi and shit as a kid, and they were like all the rage, right? Like for some reason in this late 90s, early 2000 mindset, virtual pets were like the thing, and I don't really remember why. I mean, I was fairly young, but everybody had Tamagotchis and virtual pets and shit. It was like all the rage.
I don't really remember like maybe why it was a big thing, but maybe it was because it was like a little pet creature video game thing that you could take with you anywhere, but not have the detriment of, oh shit, my cat got out and I lost it. Like you have a little Tamagotchi hanging and it dies when a Tamagotchi or whatever, you just get a new one.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was like when we had Digimon.
Right.
Little Digivices and we take them. Like I'd open up the Digivice and was like, fucking Agumon shit everywhere. And you have to clean up his poop.
Yep.
But like I didn't have to touch it with my hands. And it was that little novelty of taking a pet somewhere and having access to it at any time, but not the actual commitment.
I remember I had like a green dinosaur I got for Christmas that I absolutely loved. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, I have a virtual dinosaur. This is like the coolest. Like I said, I don't remember why these were so popular, but they were. Like for us old folk will tell you, like the virtual pets were a thing.
Got the Digivices hanging up.
Right.
Like
I still got a couple Digivices from a kid. And yeah, those were obviously the outliers. Like those were so cool and they still are. But this game, I feel like, is that idea just like to the fullest extent that you could possibly maximize, right? Yeah, it is a game, but like it's a literal virtual pet that you take care of digitally. Like you don't have to physically change the water. You don't have to physically clean the poop. You do it in the game though, just like you did with your Tamagotchis.
It's funny because the book takes the responsibility of Seaman very seriously.
Oh yeah, dude, the book's great.
I was flipping through it, and like even on the first page, it was like first things first, a reality check. And there's a line in here where it says, before you begin with the initial setup procedure, you are strongly recommended to double check with yourself that you are mentally prepared to assume this important responsibility. Like, there's a lot of instances if you have this game and you haven't looked through the manual, like read the manual. Because it's like dead ass Seaman is real. And there will be locusts and hellfire if he dies, kind of deal. There's an entire 2 pages on mental preparation.
There's so many nuggets, bro. I think in the back somewhere, it's like the sanctity of life, talking about keeping him alive and shit. And then, yeah, the manuals, it's one of the best I've seen, honestly, if we're going to talk about that.
The most fundamental requirement for successfully raising Seaman is daily care and maintenance. You are kindly requested to attend to various custodial tasks. Like, it does take itself super serious.
It's so matter of fact. It's literally like when you buy a gerbil from like PetSmart or whatever. This is the kind of shit they should give you. Instead of just being like, you have a life now. Congratulations.
Yeah, like it's an operator's manual for a living creature.
This should be like a requirement when you actually buy a pet. But
it's like the required reading when you have children and you have to go to like what are the little classes, especially like with first time parents.
I got stepkids, bro. I don't know.
I mean, I don't have kids at all, but I think they do like the first time parent classes where they go and they like teach you all this stuff about being a parent for the first time, like before you have the kid. Like this is what this manual is, but you also got the game, so it's like you've got to prepare before you pop the disc in, because at that point you're committed.
Strongly recommend no disc only for this game. This game was developed by Vivarium and was published by Vivarium in Japan and Sega in North America. It was released July 29th, 1999 in Japan and August 8th, 2000 in the United States. You guys might recognize Viridian from, they had Sim Tower was like really their only claim to fame. They have a small handful of games that they actually made, with Seaman obviously being the biggest hit. This game does have a pretty interesting developmental backstory. The original producer did an interview with The Verge, and he was saying the concept of this game, in-house, they had like an aquarium simulator they were kind of like working on, like behind the scenes as like a project or whatever. And they, it was a tropical fish simulator, that's what it was. And that lead, Ute Sayoto, and a fellow coworker basically had this thing up and running. And they're like, this is a kind of a different game. We know the virtual pet thing at the time is really popular, but like, what if we made it like our spin on it and made it kind of our sense of humor? And they were like, well, what do you mean? Like, what would you do? And he's like, well, what if the fish talked to you? And they're like, the fish ain't gonna talk. It's a fish. What are you talking about? It's like, but what if he was an asshole that talked to you? So it just kind of started out as a joke. And then Saito went home to his wife and like kind of pitched that. And she was like, this sounds totally insane, but like, I think it might work because it is so unique and so different. So he returned to work the next day, motivated by his wife basically telling him that it would work. And he was like, I've got it. Like, it can't be a sea monkey. What if we had a sea man? And he had like a human face on it and he would talk shit. So literally a Star Wars born off of like a throw a dart at the wall idea and see if it hits. Literally a joke between coworkers is pretty funny. And then I don't remember the comedian's name. They basically went to a comedy show and they're like, this is who we're going to base our character off of, because he's like brash. He was really rude. He's a Japanese comedian. I'm not great with the Japanese comedy scene, so I don't remember his name. So they basically model his personality around this comedian. And initially when they pitched the game, talk about it was in the industry that like, hey, they're working on this really unique game. We're going to shop it around. The N64 DD was in development in Japan at the time. And obviously, like everybody, Nintendo was like the poster boy of this, where we want to go back then. So they shopped it around. Shigeru Miyamoto was the one that was like, this concept is amazing. I don't know about execution or whatever, but like, I love this concept. And before they even decided they were going to make it for the Dreamcast, there's actually a picture in a Japanese magazine of Shigeru Miyamoto in a Seaman shirt, because he's trying to like, come to us. Like we're the ones that we want to develop the same for the N64 DD, which thank God they didn't, because that thing was a train wreck. But it's pretty interesting. In that same interview with The Verge, Sayoto said Miyamoto-san was the only other person that could understand my base feelings, and he likes strange and different concepts. And yeah, this is definitely a strange and different concept. But they ended up going with Sega because the president, Shishiro Amagachi, I'm sure that's correct, was a big supporter of the game. He truly believed like this is what's going to make the Dreamcast get over that hump and kind of like be this top system seller, because there's no other experience like this where you're communicating with a creature that lives in your Dreamcast. He loved the idea of it. So he was like, I don't care what it costs. Like, we're going to make this thing. They ended up making the prototype on a Mac. So like the aquarium simulator, and then they converted it. It took them about a year to do to make it a Dreamcast game. It was localized by Sega of America, and the Japanese version is almost completely different than the English version, just obviously due to localization. A lot of the humor, a lot of that like late 90s, 2000 like edgelord type of stuff. That's why he's kind of a dick and like talks about the internet and like dated things at the time. Like he talks about surfing the World Wide Web and shit. So you got to put yourself in the time and place of this game. Even when I was playing it, I was like, man, they can never do this today just because of how dated some of these conversations feel, you know? But Japan is very much more of like he's more brash, he's more rude. He's very much based off of that comedian. Obviously here in the States, we didn't know who that comedian was, so we got a different Seaman. I'm supposed to be like, the idea of the game is the more you like how you treat the Seaman creature, he's going to give it back to you, right? So if obviously in Japan he starts out brash, people are like naturally being mean to him and stuff. So everyone's like, this guy's an asshole. Like there's not one. So when they play test it, they're like, all right, we got to balance this out a little bit. And they end up making him a little more neutral, but I mean, he's still got some edge to him, you know? They ended up porting this game to the PS2 in 2001. It actually comes with a really badass, like, it looks like a gold medallion controller, like you pull off a temple or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's got a microphone built in. It's so cool, honestly, but there's no US PS2 version. It's only in Japan. I'll put up a picture of it in the Discord in the supplemental tab.
Oh, that thing's cool.
It's so cool, bro.
Why is this give Zumba so hard?
Right, yeah. It looks like the Aztec temple or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got the microphone built into it, too.
That thing's cool. Does this controller not work on...
I'm not for sure. That would be a hell of an experiment. Imagine trying to play Soul Calibur with that bitch. Like, but yeah, it's very cool. There is major differences in the PS2 version. However, they took a lot of the gameplay added different evolutions. The game starts out completely different, but today we're going to be focusing on the Dreamcast version. That's what we have access to. The Dreamcast version was released in Japan as well, but we've been playing the North American version, obviously.
Accessories are region free.
Really? Ooh, okay. Maybe we can start the GoFundMe and get a fucking get a bundle. Oh, that's awesome. But yeah,
I'm just looking at this thing being like
mesmerized by it. Yeah, it's badass, dude.
Yeah, but it's one analog stick still.
Right.
And then all of the buttons, like, are there triggers?
I'm not sure because I never saw any pictures from behind. I only saw there's no YouTube videos on it that I could find.
I would be so interested to see like how this would.
Just gotta get on eBay and buy one, bro. That's what we need to do.
All right, I'm looking.
Unboxing. But yeah, this game was not released in Europe also. So the only way to play the Dreamcast version is Japan, English, or North America rather. So figure that out. Also, this game is a larger franchise than most people realize. We previously mentioned you've got Seaman 2 on the PS2 also. It's a completely different game. You basically raise a caveman. The Seaman from your original game is in it, but it's a different game. We're not going to focus too much on that. It's exclusive to Japan as well. Interesting though, this original version in Japan was so popular at launch that they basically had to come out with multiple versions of it to like meet demand because the actual mic kept selling out separately. So they ended up doing like a Christmas version where you could pre-order on the website for like 10 days, I think. And they bundled it with a red Dreamcast. So if you ever see that, like the red Christmas Seaman, it's like a foil red that matches the Dreamcast. It's pretty cool. And then they did one that just came with the CD because they were trying to sell the microphone devices separately. So different versions out there if you're collecting variants like that. The craziest thing for me though in this game, I remember being a kid and like flipping through GamePro and stuff and seeing the advertising campaign for this game. Do you remember it at all? It was pretty insane.
Because like I wasn't really into Sega or the Dreamcast or anything. Like I was just a PlayStation 2 kid. So like, you know, PlayStation. So once we got the PlayStation, there wasn't really any reason for me to give a shit about any of the other ones.
Right.
So I don't really remember like advertising or anything for like this. I just know my fascination with this came as when I became more of an adult collector of being like, oh, it's a pet sim.
Right.
I was into Tamagotchis and Digimon and like pet raising games when I was a kid. So this seems like a natural next step for like what I would want to do is a weird fucking fish with a human face.
Right.
So that's kind of why I wanted to get it for such the longest time. Because I'm like, this is up my alley as like an adult who can comprehend what this actually is now.
Right. And yeah, full disclosure, once you got one, I was like, oh, I really hope, you pick this for Is It Worth It episode. And I got mine not shortly after. And I was like, all right, I'm definitely picking this for an Is It Worth It episode.
Yeah.
Because I've wanted to always play this game. But the advertising campaign for this game, I just remember being a kid and the one that sticks in my mind vividly, it was like a 2-page spread, right? And it was like a bed with feet hanging out with like insinuation that the fish was just got done procreating with the human that was laying in bed with them. And its tail sticking out of the bed also. And it's just like, oh, what a night or some kind of shit. I don't remember exactly what it says.
Have you
but
found it?
Oh yeah. I'm going to upload it in Discord. I was just like, good God, I don't remember this shit. Just like 2000s like edge. Like, yeah, bro, we have sex with a fish. Like, whoa, it's such the epitome of the times, man. But I remember being freaked out as a kid and being like, is this like, you fuck the fish?
Oh, I
like,
see it. I see it.
Yeah, dude.
What does the text say?
I don't remember.
I will not mate outside my species. I will not mate outside my species over and over and over again.
I remember just being like, man, I don't know about this game as a kid. Because I was like, what the fuck? It's
holy shit.
Such an odd image. And yeah, spoiler alert, you don't get to have sex with the fish.
Yeah, you do not.
False advertising, bro.
The fish has sex with itself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
In a weird way.
I guess in the words of President Clinton, it depends
siblings?
On what your definition of is.
Incest, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Technically, I
Self,
think.
it's kind of like J.O., bro. Like, it's kind of himself.
No, I think it is technically like incest.
I guess siblings, yeah, out of the same age.
They're siblings.
Yeah.
They come out of the same little egg.
That's a gray area. Oh my God, let's get into the story. Jesus.
Where is this laboratory? What awaits you within? You have no idea what Seaman is or how it evolves. This is something you must find out for yourself. as there is little documentation to help you on your way.
So the story of this game, it's really I want to preface this with the story. The real story of this game is like your one-on-one experience with your Seaman, right? Like that's what most people are going to tell you the story of this game. But again, another reason why I think you need the manual for this game. Dude, this game has like crazy, surprisingly amount of crazy lore.
The history of Seaman?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like the actual story, I was like kind of remotely interested in it because I'm like,
This sounds like some
unique.
wild shit out of an Indiana Jones spinoff.
Dude, yeah, it gets... If you didn't know this game and you played it, I don't want to talk about the actual gameplay, the ending or anything yet, but if you got to that part where it's like, oh, here's the revelation, you'd be like, how much mushrooms did I eat? Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Do you have it pulled up in the manual?
The history of Seaman? Yeah.
I can give a quick overview because I don't want to just read.
Give a quick overview of it because
it's a lot. It's surprisingly a lot. Yeah.
I like reading from the manuals when they have good one-liners, but I don't want to just read these 5 paragraphs in here.
If you really want to read the manual, pull up a PDF and read it,
pull a PDF up.
In the wrong podcast. I know I did it on that one episode, but I ain't trying to do it all the time.
If there isn't a PDF, we'll send you a picture.
Ask for us to scan it. We got you.
I'll just scan the manual.
But yeah, the manual goes in detail how basically there was this man in ancient Egypt and he fell in love with the pharaoh's daughter, and that this man got turned into this Seaman creature by the god Thoth. I'm not great at my Egyptology. I think that's like the falcon looking one, right?
I don't know.
Let me look. I'm curious. I meant to look it up beforehand.
Ancient Egyptian
They haven't done it for Assassin's Creed yet.
Lore and interest was always like everyone's middle school interest, so I don't really remember anything except from middle school.
I barely remember high school, bro.
Is that the bird guy?
Yeah, it's the one with like the skinny...
Oh, the like crane?
Yeah.
I don't really know what he's supposed to be.
But yeah, anyway, he's the one that turned the Seaman into the Seaman. And he ends up turning his lady into a bird with the idea that they'll basically be rematched in the future under different circumstances, right? So
just Assassin's Creed.
It's low-key, it's an Assassin's Creed.
Did Assassin's Creed rip off Seaman? Heard it here, folks.
Dude, breaking news.
If you guys don't hear from us,
if
you don't hear from us ever again, Ubisoft got us.
They got us, bro.
What's that company that they sent after the dude who opened the magic cards early?
Yeah.
The whatever brothers?
Yeah,
they're going to send... I don't know what they are right now, but that's what's going to happen.
Men in Black are going to show up and shit.
Yeah, you never hear from us again.
Yep, it's been real, y'all.
This episode might be wiped from the internet.
Google's going to be like, we're not posting this. But yeah, by the time you get to playing in the game, it's the present time, which is the early 2000s when the game came out. You discover the lab of the scientist Jean-Paul Gassal. My French is great too, by the way, but I think that's right. He was the one that researched the Seaman, found the Seaman, found evidence that the Seaman had connections to ancient Egypt, and in his lab, he basically has like, hey, I have an egg. It's up to you to hatch this thing. The manual goes into like a lot greater depth. I think there's like 2 or 3 pages, right, for like the actual story for this game.
In the book?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a short version and then a long, like a 2-page version.
Right. But yeah, it's
got like a picture of a fossil of a Seaman.
I didn't know any of this going into this game, so I was like, what the fuck, really? Like, this is surprising. Like, okay. And then when you start the game, narrated by the late, great Leonard Nimoy, he sits there and kind of gives you an overview the first time you turn it on of like what you're getting into, the backstory. There is a small cutscene of like them going into Egypt and excavating shit. But the story of the game is you start with the egg and you have to hatch and take care of this Seaman. The ancient Egypt stuff does not really come into play until there's a certain point you get to the Seaman evolved and he starts like rambling like a madman about Egypt and the pyramids. And he asks you like, you ever been to Egypt? And you're like, yes or no. And I'm my case, because I'm poor. No. And he's like, oh, let me tell you about it. And he goes on like a tangent. And I was looking at my watch like, okay, like we're talking about Egypt. And I was like, oh yeah, his memories are probably coming back to him. And by the end of the game, he's like, look, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, my love's out there. She's a bird. You need to get me out of this cage like now. I'm gonna try to
he's like a frog at this point.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He's like, I'm gonna try to make this jump. Like, I love her, bro. And you're like, oh, of course I'm gonna help you, man. Like, what? I'm not a monster. Like, sure. But he ends up escaping. Spoiler alert. And it's a really fun sequence. I think we'll focus on when we talk about the gameplay, because that's actually a deviant from the gameplay deviation. But that's the only time this Egypt stuff comes up. So it's funny they developed like this huge backstory for it, and it's like not really consequential. It is fun. It just adds to the experience of this game and how unique and different. I don't know other words to use this game. Like, there's not a word that exists to describe how much of an experience this game is, in my opinion. Because yeah, like the main story of the game's, you know, your story is gonna be different than my story because we take care of our Seaman differently. We're gonna have different conversations with our Seaman. But the fact that they added like this much to it to make it seem realized, like a live, real pet, was really cool. Even going back to the marketing, I don't remember this at the time, but initially when they premiered this game, it was like a news clip trailer that they found these eggs inside this pyramid, and it was like done really professionally. It looked like a news segment from the time. So like they put a lot of thought and effort into this backstory, and they didn't have to, because it could have just been like, here's a funny fish with a human face you're going to take care of. So again, we're not here to play the story, but I do appreciate the amount of effort that the devs put into like developing a realized character, you know? So story's not why you're here though. Again, I think your experience is your experience. You enjoy that. That's what makes this game special in a way.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, there are segments where he asks the same questions in every iteration, so it's not quite as advanced as you would imagine some systems like today would be. Like, there's still preset questions, and he goes into chunks, and it's not like you get personalized questions.
Yeah.
Like, depending on your answers, like, obviously they're only able to store X amount of information for it to process. So, like, the one where it asks, like, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, if you tell him you're a deep sea oil rig operator, like, he's not going to understand what that is.
We lied to him. I told him I was a doctor, I think, right? I told him something funny. I was like, police
because
officer.
You,
he said,
you tried to say something and it didn't recognize exactly the words. So it said, oh, a doctor? And we were like, we're not going to go through the back and forth on this. So it can only understand X amount of answers, but it does have a very surprising range of what it can and can't do. And some of them are yes and no. Yeah. You know, it's like, do you have kids? Yes or no? Like, there's not really another option for that.
Right.
But I guess when you're talking about a tree of combinations, like, it will be different because there's so many options based on how many questions have been asked. It's not like he asks you 3 questions and there's 9 routes. You know? There's a lot of different options that it can go down, and ultimately it does go down the same path. It is very linear. You raise the Seaman all the way up from a little egg to a little fish.
If you don't kill him.
If you don't kill him, to another fish with legs and arms, and then a frog, and then it leaves. Like, that's the linear progression of the story. But those questions that are inside will kind of deviate differently depending on what you tell him.
Right.
Because there's some points where it remembers specific information. I'll call it later.
Late in the game, he came back and was talking about stuff in the beginning. I was like, it's actually kind of impressive for technology back then that he would remember that. Like, good on them. Apparently, there's 20 hours of Seaman dialogue recorded in this game, which is a shitload. Because my playthrough was like 8-15. So I'm assuming there's a ton of diverging paths and different routes you can go. But yeah, since we're talking about it, let's just jump into the gameplay because I don't have anything else to talk about the story.
My name is Leonard Nimoy, and I will be your guide. Well, this is your first day with the Seaman kit. Your first step will involve preparing the tank for Seaman's arrival. Adjust the tank settings to be an adequate temperature with sufficient oxygen. While adjusting, keep in mind that blue is the color of the sea, and thus an appropriate color for the care of Seaman.
So we talked about it a little bit. This game's, the virtual pet. The majority of the game is you taking care of the Seaman. And what do you do to do that? You're going to hold the right D-pad to warm your water up and make sure it's up to temp. You're going to, I think it was up on the D-pad to pump air into the tank, which is also how you clean it. And yeah, you're going to adjust a lot of temperature. You're going to adjust a lot of air in this game. That's what it really boils down to. And that's a gross exaggeration, but majority of your legitimate time is actually monitoring your air and your heat. The conversations aspect of the game, he has to get to basically like an adult, right? When you first get the egg, there's a whole process, which thank God we had a manual. Cause like, again, I can't reiterate enough. You're going to need a manual to play this game. To figure out that you need to drop the egg in, get the temperature up, and then you have to like the Nautilus eat the hatchlings. Because remember, I was like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Like 4 of them.
And plus, like, be patient is another thing when you're playing this game. Because like when you first hatch the egg, you got to wait like 5 to 8 minutes with the temperature being correct, with the air being correct. Basically, when you're raising the temperature in the air, there's numbers at the bottom, and they'll light up green or blue.
Yeah, like at least with the start of the game, inside it tells you exactly what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, it says in here specifically, if the mushroomers do not evolve within a few days of their hatching, they die. Position the hand over the nautilus. Do not be alarmed by X amount of behavior. It must consume at least 4 mushroomers and it will begin to undergo a transformation. So it says observe carefully. So it doesn't really tell you exactly what happens, but it tells you how to get started.
Yeah.
It tells you how to get started at least to the point where you can get a Seaman, and then past that, it's like, okay, this is how you're going to talk with it.
Right.
This is kind of generally like how you interact with the Seaman, but it doesn't hold your hand of telling you exactly what to do. It just makes sure that you understand how to operate and how to communicate with this little Seaman and the pros and the cons of some, where it even explicitly says like, hey, tapping on the glass a lot is going to piss your Seaman off.
Rightfully so.
You know? It doesn't just say like you can tap on the glass. It's like you can.
Just consequences.
But understand it's not just tapping on the glass. So
yeah, it's funny because I remember like Leonard Nimoy, when you log in, he'll tell you like, hey, this is the mood of the Seaman right now because of your actions. Like you let it get too cold, so he's in a bad mood, or you didn't feed him, so he's really hungry, he's starving, get in there. So you have to pay attention to the narrator. He's kind of like your guide in this game, basically. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, I'm going to wing it today. Kind of got to go on with the plan. You got to stay up on his air temperature, his water temperature, stay up on his air circulation. If not, he dies. It's not like you can just load your save.
The food.
Yeah. You're taking care of more than one pet also, spoiler. So the food, basically once he's an adult, he looks at you dead in the face and he's like, yeah, these pellets you're giving me are cool, but like, the scientists used to give me these really yummy moths. Like, need you to go find them.
Little worms.
Yeah. So you get the ability to like take care of the insect cage, right? And basically it's a larva you throw in there and you got to keep the moisture up. It's just like taking care of Seaman. You got to adjust your temperature. It's basically a reptile simulator where you have to get the moisture just right or they're going to die. Yeah. But they turn into moths. And you can feed them the moths, or you can feed them the larva. The moths obviously lay more eggs. It's kind of like more larva.
It's Mothman, because like it's a moth with a face on it.
He's got the same face as the
Seaman. Yeah, I didn't realize the first time we got the moth. I was like, oh, cool, a moth, because he was on the glass, and I only saw the underside. We
zoomed in, we're like, oh.
Yeah, and then he was on the ground, and I said, why does this moth look fucked up? And we zoomed in on him, I said, whoa.
Never mind, he's beautiful. It's our boy.
Whoa, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really funny. Actually, a lot of people kind of shit on the moth mechanic to the point when the PS2 version came out, they got away with it completely, where you basically go out in the jungle and you have to peel them off of a tree. So, interesting. I didn't think it was that bad. I felt like it was a necessary evil, kind of. Like, yeah, if you have a wild critter that you can't go to Walmart and get food for, you're going to have to raise, food for them. I mean, I have insects. Like, I have to get crazy shit reptiles, rather.
Was that the criticism where people are like, oh, we don't like raising a pet to feed it to the other pet?
Yeah. And I was like, weird. What, you don't want to play the game more than you're playing the game? Like, sure. Playing this game, like, I almost wish I experienced it the way it was like meant to be played. Like, you're turning on your Dreamcast every day, taking care of it like you would a real animal, right? I mean, just to beat this game, full disclosure, I'm going to do a super sick, like, time-lapse supercut of opening the Dreamcast and changing the calendar date on the video. But yeah, what you can do to manipulate it basically is, you turn your Dreamcast, open your lid of the Dreamcast, go to the calendar, change the date.
Yeah, here's the supercut of us opening it up and changing it about 20,000 times.
I think there's 1 or 2 times I like give it the double bird and flip it off because I'm tired of fucking doing it because it's about 8.5 hours straight of doing it. But yeah, good times. But yeah, you can basically manipulate it so you can like visit the next day, and then Leonard Nimoy is going to be like, oh, you're showing up at the same time, or you're showing up a little later than usual, and he'll come out on when you do it. But I feel like it's almost a disservice to play the game the way I played it. I still got the full game experience. I feel like yeah, you're taking care of a pet, but I think it'd be more rewarding and it would be like a more realistic like evolution path if I would have played it legitimately. We just didn't have the time.
I see what you're saying. I think there's a difference between I don't want to say crashing through it, but kind of adjusting the time where you immediately get the next experience. Like, It's like that idea of scheduled television at a certain time versus like streaming.
Yep.
Where you can just binge it so badly. Like, we essentially binge Seaman.
Yeah.
Where we adjusted it to work in our favor to be able to complete this game. And to be fair, we're trying to complete it in a time period like for a specific, project.
Right.
if we didn't do this for an episode and need to get to the end within a certain amount of time in order to record in time, I think I would have played it very differently.
Same.
I personally don't have the desire to play this game in that format where I'm going to open up the tray and then beat it in 9 hours. Like, it sounds a lot more enjoyable to be like, all right, let me play with my Seaman for an hour or two and talk to him. And once I feel talked out, I'll walk away from it and then come back the next day and like there's a surprise of like, oh, he's doing okay, or oh shit, my Seaman's dead.
Right.
You know.
Like, there's times you gotta visit it multiple times in a day. Like, there's certain times evolution paths where he's more susceptible. Like, you need to feed him more, you need to warm him up more. So like skipping ahead, like we were doing 12-hour intervals and then we did full day intervals a little bit later. It was a disservice, man. I think it would be a fun maybe project down the road to like, I'm gonna play Seaman legit instead of just sitting here and super cutting it in one setting. So admittedly, it felt like a little disservice to the game.
Yeah, we couldn't really have the camera set up for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Like in the same spot. So
yeah, that would have been tough. But I mean, yeah, I still had fun with it. It's the thing. The gameplay is very like rudimentary. It's very simple. Ideally, you're going to just converse with this Seaman and he's a cheaper therapist than going to therapy. Like ours was really nice because we were nice to him. There's a couple times I'd like get experimental or get cute and kind of curse at him to see what he would do. But like overall, our Seaman was very nice.
He was sassy.
I mean, he had a little bit of attitude, but it was like he was
sassy.
He was the kind of guy that's like, oh, this guy's a likable asshole. Like he was a likable asshole.
There's sometimes where it's just like, motherfucker, like stop sassing me.
But a lot of times he was asking about like, I had the control at the time, so he was asking like, do you have kids? And I would talk about the kids or I'd talk about Sherry and he'd give like relationship advice, which is hilarious because he sucks the blood out of his partner to survive or his siblings or whatever. But in a weird way, it was like, it almost felt like going through therapy where it was like, yeah, I'm going to talk about my family and like my goals, my aspirations, my career. He asked a bunch of different shit. And then like the further you get in the game, the more like, I don't want to say philosophical, but he kind of turns into like a professor and he'll start lecturing a little bit. Like, I remember one instance in particular, he was asking about, your outside worldview. And he's like, hey, what do you think of other cultures and stuff? And I was like, I don't know how you respond to that. Like, it's fine, man. Like, I like everybody, get along with everybody. And the game wants you to like say things a specific way. Like there's certain phrases it wants you to use. Like you can't just be like, what's up, Seaman? And he's going to be like, what's up, bro? You have to be like, Seaman, talk to me or speak. Like you have to use certain trigger words. So I don't know if it was looking for a specific word or not, but he gave me like a full lecture of ancient Egypt and like the culture and the food and the values. And I was like, thanks for the lecture, Seaman, but like I kind of miss when you used to like comfort me. He turns into a professor when he gets into the frog stage, but it's an interesting evolution. You can kind of see him mature and grow because he starts, when he's a baby, he literally talks like a baby. Like you can pick him up out of the cage, he's going to be like, wee, wee, like making crazy baby noises. But yeah, then he turns into an adult and he's kind of like a punk rock kid who's like, oh yeah, I like music, I like movies, I like sex. Like, and then he turns into like an actual adult and then he turns into like a professor.
It's just like, time to go to bed, Seaman. And he's like, no. And then just like swims off and refuses to talk to you anytime after that. I was like, all right, man. Well, the light's turning off.
Right.
Oh, mother.
Who turned off the light? Ideally, though, the objective of the games, you're going to basically try to make him trigger certain questions he asks you, right? Because the game's controlled. It's like you think you'd be asking the questions to Seaman. No. You got to get him prepared to ask you a certain question. You answer that question, and there might be different branches of that question that you have to get him to, ask 3 or 4 more questions or whatever. But that's how you get his evolution to progress. It's not a set thing with how many days he'll do it. You basically have to keep him happy. So like keep his water high, keep his oxygen high, keep his temp just right, and then he's more likely to give you that question. That's why everybody's playthrough is different. There's some people that's beating this game in like 6.5 hours. I was like, I don't know how, because there was times where it was like 3 days, quote days, in a row. I'd have everything perfect. He was well fed. And I was like, hey, Seaman, let's talk. No. Like, so what do you do? Everybody's experience is different, but ideally you're trying to basically trigger these certain phrases and questions. And yeah, there's a path. He jumps out of order sometimes because I was using like a game FAQs, which I feel like we say that a lot. Shout out game FAQs. I
call it game facts.
Yeah, it's probably what it is. But I mean, yeah, I miss it.
I know it's an FAQ because the Q is fucking questions, but like I call it game facts.
Yeah, it's the same shit, but whatever. I miss that though, because like now all these modern games, it's all wikis with shit popped up everywhere, and you're skipping ads. Like, dusting off an old game on the shelf and going through game facts.
Oh yeah, like anytime you try and click on any kind of walkthrough on a website like IGN, prepare for one thing to be about 40,000 pages long because you have to scroll through ad after ad after ad. Fuck you, IGN. Anyways.
Wow. But yeah, I was following that so I kind of know what words I'm looking for from him.
Yeah.
And mine jumped out of order compared to the game facts. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. There is a little bit of deviation in the gameplay. You get to certain points where you have to trigger certain things. The big one I can think of that was like the cool holy shit moment was he basically turned into, he's not quite a frog yet, but he's got like long legs and he's swimming like a frog. And he's basically like, we need to try to move this rock. And you're like, okay, Seaman, move the rock. And he's like, riddle me this. And he hits you with like riddles you have to answer. But they're all like crazy. Like it's not like he's looking for a trick answer basically. And I failed 2 or 3 of them because I was like, I'm not going to use a god. I'm going to be a hard ass. Like, no, bro. Some of them are tough and some of them are really easy. Like one of them, he was like, what do you get when you mix a red light and a blue light? And I'm like, oh, I guess like purple. And he's like, no, you get a red light and a blue light. Like, what? How the hell was I supposed to guess that? So like, that's why I had to use the game FAQ because it was wild. Basically, if you get the answer, you get 1 a day. So he'll push the rock a little bit and he gets too tired and he can't keep pushing it. But on the 3rd day, you get it successful. He'll push the rock out of the way and he starts like hauling ass for a corner and you lose all your water except for like one little corner. And then he's like, hey, this is the setup I need to be able to give birth to my offspring. And he ends up turning into like the land frog thing, giving birth to the eggs. And it was kind of like a sad moment because that's the Seaman that I raised from a tadpole. You know, he was the survivor of all the other babies and he gave birth to more babies. And then all of his memories and everything are passed down every evolutionary cycle. So it was like, as soon as he gave birth to these babies, they were speaking fluent English. They had his memories. These were the ones that were rambling about Egypt. And I was like, so my guy's still there, but he's not my guy. Like, this is such a crazy evolutionary tract. But it was kind of sad. I felt sad. I remember I took a screenshot. I was like, he died, Barry. What the fuck? No.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's this game makes you feel a certain way, honestly. Like I kind of get attached to him, even though he's not real, which that's a whole nother crazy meta thing that happened to me. This game's full of experiences. Like you have moments where it's like, cool, I'm talking about my kids, you know, my wife, wherever, reality. But then when the game breaks the wall, it is kind of wild. Like he was like, do you think I'm real? And I was like, oh shit. Like, how do I was like, no, let's see no, I don't think you're real. And he's like, real, something that you physically see, you talk to. I exist. I exist in this Dreamcast. And I got into like a debate with them. By the end, I'm like, well, God damn, maybe God is real.
Well, I mean, it is that, you know, I don't know if there's a specific term for it, existentialism maybe, where you talk about theoreticals, and it's the same idea of like, if the tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound kind of deal? Right. Like if you want to talk about like, sure, physically it makes sound waves, but if there's no one there to hear it, then like no one hears it. But then there's also some existential questions of like, what is reality? Because we only have that individual perception from ourselves. Like I can never see reality from your perception. Right. So am I creating you? And anything... You're
starting to sound like Seaman right now.
Right, and so like, am I...
This is the conversation you have with him, yeah.
Like, we talk about like God, right? Like the concepts of God, but or the computer. Like we all live in a simulation. That's another one.
Yep.
But it's like I exist in this world and I create this world as I see it. Like my mind is creating these images and interacting with them. And anytime you're nodding right now and stroking your beard, like my brain is creating that to interact with. And anything that I can't see, like until I think about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they say, oh, think about something right now, think of a random word. It's like, were you thinking about tacos until I said the word tacos? But tacos didn't exist until you thought about tacos.
Right.
So like, are you real or are tacos real until I think about tacos?
Yeah. That's basically the exact same.
Because there's so many people out there that you don't even know they exist.
Yep.
But until you come into my life, my brain hasn't created you to exist in the world, and therefore you do not.
You and Seaman would get along.
Anyways.
No, honestly, that's pretty much verbatim the conversation I had with him. And by the end of it, I was like, okay.
Which is funny. He's like, oh, well, I'm on the screen. You can see me, and you're talking to me, so therefore like, I exist. Talking to me,
I exist.
Uh-huh.
I was like,
is this pipe not a pipe kind of deal?
Right.
You know?
That was
this
a really...
pipe's not a pipe. That's always a great one where it's like, it's a picture of a pipe, sure, but like the picture is saying, I am not a pipe, therefore I am not a pipe. But you think it's a pipe because it's a picture of a pipe. But if the artwork is describing itself as not a pipe, then is it not a pipe, or is it a pipe because you believe it's a pipe?
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah.
I could go on forever
honestly,
about this
though,
shit.
That's literally like the conversation I had with him, and I was like, damn, this was surprisingly more intellectual than I thought it was going to be. Like, for a stupid fish that eats worms you throw at it. Like, there were some really cool moments. That was a big highlight for me. Another one that I really enjoyed, he was like, do you like movies? And I was like, yeah, dude, of course I like movies. Yeah. Yes, that's what I actually do. What certain words?
You have to push the button and go, yes. Just to make sure it registers.
He's like, what's your favorite movie? And I was like, Taxi Driver. He's like, yeah, I enjoy that one too. I think it's really interesting that, you know, Travis becomes a character. The thing he despises, he mentions he wants to wash away all the filth, but in turn becomes part of the filth. And I was like, he fucking knows Taxi Driver. This is crazy. Like, apparently that segment alone has the most recorded dialogue.
The movies?
Which makes sense. Yeah, because everybody's got different opinions. And that was such a really cool moment. Instead of him being like, oh, your family sounds nice, to like engage with something that I was talking about. I mean, being an active listener, you know? It's cool for like 2000s tech. Like, that's some shit you do with ChatGPT and bullshit now, not a fucking Dreamcast game with a shit microphone.
Right. Like,
hey, you Pikachu would never, you know what I mean?
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
That was a really cool moment. And then the final moment of the game, I think the escape sequence was really a standout for me also, just because it was kind of deviation from the main gameplay. Like, it's a normal, typical day. You're just like, hey, Seaman, let's talk. And he like dead ass looks at you in the eyes and he's like, the love of my life's out there. I'm trapped in this cage. Like, I've told you the story of ancient Egypt. He gives you his heartfelt, like, if I felt bad for him. And he's not real, but I felt bad for him. I was like, I'm going to get you out of here. And he's like, look, see that ring in the corner of the screen? He's like, I'm going to jump on top of the rock we pushed earlier. I'm going to try to get up there. When I get up there, I want you to yell jump as loud as you can. So I was like, I got you, bro. Like, yeah, let's do this. So he waddles over there. He comes in the rock. He's like, 1, 2, 3. I was like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, jump! Screaming. And he didn't make it. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Did I yell loud enough? Like, God damn it. And he's like, hey, it's okay. We'll try again when I fill up to it. So I was like, fuck this. Change the calendar date. Go tomorrow. And he's like, I'm not feeling about it. And I felt bad. I was like, dude, what did I do wrong? This is crazy. So advancing another day. He's like, hey, I've built enough courage. I'm going to give it another shot. I was like, fuck yo, dude, let's do this shit. So I'm like, all right. He gets up there. He's like, scream it. Like, be as loud as you can. And I was like, I got you. Like, I'm going to hurt myself.
It's just
like,
about to be iterations of you screaming jump.
So it's like 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, jump! Like, screaming it. He doesn't make it again. And I'm like, this is broke. Like, maybe I'm screaming it too loud. It's not registering. So he was like depressed. He was like, I'm never going to get out of here, am I? And I was like, no. I was like, no, Seaman, you're going to get out of here. He's like, thank you for the kind words and shit. And I was like, this is so crazy. Finally, the third day, he was like, all right, today's the day. Like, I'm going to get out of here. And I was like, yes. So finally, I was like, I'm not going to yell it because maybe yelling was fucking it up. I was like, jump, like right up into the mic. And he made it. And I was like, oh, like freaking out. But he hangs on the rope and like the whole screen like falls into the jungle. And then he turns around and he's like, this is because of you. Like, I get to see the person that I care about, much like you're Sherry. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, he remembered me. And he's like, I'll be off. Like, thank you. And he's got another one with him because there's 2 frogmen at the end of the game. They jump off and the screen just like frozen. And then the credits start rolling and you're like, okay. And then I read up on this. It's a really cool scene though. If you start tapping on the glass, he'll come back out and start dancing. But he does it, you have to have rhythm. Like, he does it to the rhythm of your tap. So if you're just like, he'll just be like, but yeah, I got a little clip in there. And really, it's the only music in the game. So I guess that's a good segue into the sound and the music, unless you got anything else for gameplay-wise you want to talk about.
Nope.
Yeah, cool. Let's do it.
Then take the egg from the storage matrix and place it in the tank. The water's temperature is key to the hatching of the egg. Once hatched, the Nautilus will play a very important role in Seaman's development. Each time you visit this laboratory, I'll be here to offer advice and guidance. If you tire of my voice, you may press the start button to skip at any time. Very well. Let us proceed to the tank.
Yeah, as previously said, the music for this game, there's one song. The Japanese version has a couple more apparently, which I don't know why they didn't bring the music over. It feels like it's one of the easiest things to like localize.
It would have been nice to like have music that you could play.
Yeah.
Like choose to switch on and off for Seaman and have him comment on the music. Because it would have
That'd
been
be
very
cool.
easy for them to be like, okay, these are the songs that we're going to put in the game. And so we can control how Seaman reacts to them. Of being like, oh, maybe he has a good taste for this kind of music this round. Or maybe this iteration of Seaman doesn't like classical music. And it would have been nice to like toggle and have something.
Like mood music would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Just something else you can manage to kind of break up, heating up the shit or fucking, that would have been really nice, man. I don't know why, even like just, if there was a background music, like a jingle, it's weird because it's just quiet and all you hear is just from the heater. It's just, and it's not a great sound, admittedly, but yeah, the only music in this game that I could find was literally the credits, and I was like, what kind of a miss, man. Like, I'm surprised there's not like a theme even at the start or anything.
Yeah, I mean, the start is just jungle noises.
Yep.
It's not even music.
And then when anymore going, hello. Like, that's literally the music. So we can't focus too much on the music for this. But the sound design itself, what'd you think of the sound design? It's kind of tough, too, though, 'cause it's a lot of voices.
I don't know, like, how to comment on the sound design.
It's tough, man. This game's weird, for sure. Like, it's unorthodox.
It was interesting. And every single time we always say sound is always the weakest of whatever that we're doing, and like that's just kind of the end of the day. But I don't think this is weak. I just like don't know how to describe the sound in a way where it's like I don't know what they were going for.
Yeah.
You know, having the sound effects like the bubbles and the heater, and I think when you went over to the bug cage, it was slightly different.
Yeah, the moss will flap and shit sometimes, but like...
And then, like, when you picked up the Seaman, like, the sound design specific... This game was very geared toward the dialogue.
Yeah.
Anything outside the dialogue, like, it just kind of wasn't shit all.
It's natural thought.
Yeah. It's like the core of this game is the dialogue and the delivery is important, and you being the player being... important to the sound of the game also, like the way like the way that you're speaking to Seaman has an effect on Seaman. It's not, you know, a preset like dialogue list that you can click on and like that's how it is. Like your delivery is important to it.
100%.
So I think that the sound being sort of interactive, like sound is kind of part of the gameplay of this. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to. It makes sense on, like, why there isn't music. I don't know.
It would have been nice to have, though. I feel like it's a missed opportunity. To have something, even if it was just kind of like a mood in the background.
I do think a day theme. That's what I mean. I think it was a missed opportunity, and I wish they would have put music in as something that we could control as part of Seaman's growth.
That would be cool.
Because there's so many times you see people being like, "Oh, my baby listens to Mozart." I'm like, "Your baby's not even born yet." You know, like, "Oh, my baby kicks when so and so music plays."
Punk teenage Seaman would have been like, "Turn that shit off."
Yeah, like that would have been fun, and I wish there was an improvement on that.
That would have been great.
It's hard for me to criticize that when I don't know how difficult this development was, or if that was even possible. I envision it being possible with the amount of shit that it was able to do.
Yeah.
So, and there wasn't like any kind of tank decorations where, you know, if you couldn't decorate the tank and then Seaman said like, "Oh, my tank looks like dog shit. I need you to do something about it." So there wasn't an example of something like that already in the game, which would make me think they could have done it and they just didn't. It was just really about Seaman's specific interaction with how often you fed it, how high the oxygen was, how high the heat was, and then what you said. Yeah. Anything outside of that kind of was irrelevant to Seaman. And there isn't an example of an instance where I, like I said, could say, hey, they could have done the music and they chose not to, because XYZ, we did the same thing over here.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think, like, as far as his recording, like, he was fine. He spoke clearly. I mean, I'm deaf, so I wish I had subtitles. But it wasn't an option.
The subtitles are rough.
But I got through it. I was like, all right, I understand what he's asking. And that's the thing. In this kind of game, like, if you're like, what'd you say? You can't be like, repeat. Like, you can't do it. So they recorded the lines great. It's funny, in the Japanese version, it's actually the producer of the game. He's the voice of Seaman and the face of Seaman. So, like, it's kind of meta. And then the baby Seaman's, like, his actual kid in real life. But That was a highlight for me when you pick those babies up and they're like, ah, making crazy noise.
Yeah.
It stood out because it was so jarring compared to the rest of the game, right?
And I think that the slow level progression of the speech was important for the game too, because they start out just babbling.
They're babies, yeah.
And then, like, the more you're, like, the idea is the more that you're talking to them and saying, you don't want to say the same things over and over and over, because it gets mad that you're just doing the same shit, like, it needs variation. So it expected you to talk to baby Seaman, like, a lot, like you would a normal baby, because the more the baby is exposed to that kind of language, it's learning how that language works. So you get the progression of baby talk to a little bit of baby talk, and then the Seaman can say his first word.
Right.
Which I don't remember what our Seaman's first word was.
I think it was baby.
I thought it was hello.
It was hello, yep. It was hello, then he said baby. Yep.
So, and then Seaman slowly starts to learn words, and then just one day he's a fucking teenager being like, hello. What do you want?
What do you want?
Yeah.
Turn the heat up. I'm cold.
Yeah, turn up and I was like, what? Yesterday you were babbling still, and now you know what the heater does? Like, what jump did we have right here? Did I miss 5 years of baby Seaman's life? Was I a distant father? Like, what's happening?
Oh no, we were so hands-on. Are you kidding me? We raised this youngling. It was funny. Yeah, that was a highlight for me, the baby noises. And also, when he's giving the eggs, it was like a really sad scene. But before that happened, I didn't know what he was doing. He crawls up on land. He's just like, ooh, like a guttural death scream. But I'm not exaggerating. It was like 8.5 minutes long, maybe 5 minutes. I don't know. It felt like eternity. But it was horrible. I was like, is he gonna spit these out? Because like I think he's laying the eggs, right? But it just goes on. It's just like it sounds so painful. I was like, oh my god, it's horrible.
Passing a kidney stone.
Dude, that should be a transition. I've got the audio. It's wild, man. I listened back to it and I was like, oh my god, that was devastating. But then it was like a sweet scene when the eggs are out and he's looking at it and he's like, like I did it. But yeah, the contrast was wild. But overall, like, you're the sound of this game. So if you're talking like this and shit, the sound sucks. But if you're articulating and speaking well, the sound's great, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the graphics.
It's Dreamcast graphics.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Yeah, man. Going back to what you were talking about earlier, one of my points of contention was like the tank itself, where you spend 99.9%
It was
of
boring.
the game. Yeah, man. There wasn't a lot of variety to it. The only things you can move, there was tiny pebbles you can move left or right, and then obviously Seaman can help you push the big rock. Mm-hmm. But even like after all the water goes out, it's the same tank, man.
Yeah, it's the same idea of like, if I'm trying to take care of a virtual pet, like my real pets, like they need enrichment.
Right.
And I wish this game would have added some kind of thing where you could like, okay, well, we're going to change your sand. We're going to change the color.
The background.
We're going to change the little, we're going to put a little backdrop. Like, you know how some little tanks, like people stick like paper backdrops on there to make it look like they're in the fucking jungle or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna like swap your rock out with like another rock, and then Seaman could comment on like how he liked the tank, or if he's like this backdrop's hokey, like I want to be in the frigid north or something like that. And then Seaman's happiness is directly related to how you're treating the tank.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. For
sure. That was the first thing I had on my notes, was like how dull and uninviting the background is. And like you're saying, like a real pet, this is what you would do. Like, I move my turtle tank around constantly, or my beardy, they're kind of set in their way, so they don't move around too much. But if you had like a chameleon, or like even fish, like I remember fish tank, people get crazy like putting different plants in. Mm-hmm. It would have been nice. I think it's probably the biggest knock on this game is the graphics. Not so much the animations, because I feel like the animations were decent. Like when he was swimming in his different stages, those were good. His face is really expressive, which that's important too, because when you're speaking to somebody, obviously if you want a good read, conveying that communication. But yeah, the actual environment itself was like almost distractingly dull.
Yeah, I mean, even the bug tank was more interesting than Seaman's tank, but even inside of the bug tank, it was hard to figure out what I was looking at, because there would be these little tiny, what looked like tiny seeds.
Oh yeah, we're trying to figure out what the fuck
they were like these? They were like almond shape, and they had these little like vein-ish kind of things through them. And so I'm sitting here being like, okay, what is this? Like, what are these? And then you'd see the moth lay these little eggs, and I'm like, okay, so clearly these are not the moth eggs. What the fuck are these things?
Right.
And then I think they grew into the plants.
They turned into like
I don't know what the
pods, and then
fuck
the
they
pods turned into
were.
like fucking caterpillars. Like
But those didn't turn into the eggs.
Yeah,
the eggs were what hatched into the little
Right.
caterpillar. So I was like, what are these almond things? And then I'd go over and there'd be a new almond. And I'm like, where the fuck
Right.
did that come from?
Yeah.
And there'd be a spider. And I'm like, where'd the spider come from?
Yep.
What's going on?
That's another thing with the spiders too. There's no real way to get rid of them because they were like, hey, don't let your Seaman eat the spiders. He'll get sick. But if you leave the spiders in the bug tanks, they eat the bugs. So like you just can't get rid of the spider.
Yeah, there wasn't really like a trash system for the spider.
The exploit was like if you drop them in the tank and then open your lid and come back and the spider's gone. But like I didn't do it. I was just like, whatever, spider, you can hang. He's got a Seaman face also, so I was like, he's one of ours. He's with us. But yeah, I think looking at the animations for the moths, I was distracted by like how realistic the moth animation was, where it's like when they first hatch and they fan their that was really cool. Like everything moved like it was supposed to. The spiders were kind of goofy, but I think the animations were really well for this game. And this is a fictional creature, obviously. It still moved like a fish. It swam like a fish. The frogs jumped around like frogs.
Yeah, the nautiloid swimming around was cool
Yeah.
too. Like
And
with
then
the little tentacles coming out, like trying to eat the little things.
Yeah, and the death animations were like, there was no question what it was doing. It was definitely dying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the animations were great, but the actual graphics themselves were, It was a boring environment, which kind of, when you're doing like a world building and like, you know, you have this crazy backstory of Egypt and shit, for that much effort into that and not a lot of effort into the environment was kind of weird. But in my opinion, the graphics are probably the weakest part other than the lack of music. So they are what they are. It functions. Like it does what it's supposed to do. I wasn't like, what the fuck is that other than like the insect pods?
Yeah, I mean, even then, like we could have had a Seaman that was raised into a tank that was inside of like a study.
Right.
Right? And then maybe there's books or there's something around the Seaman tank or in the background that Seaman notices one day and is like, oh, that weird pyramid, I remember it.
Right.
Let's see, like a memory trigger. Like there's just a lot of visual things that we could have put in this game that would have aided the story. So I don't know like why they chose to make it so bland.
And it's weird because they try, because like, remember the rock? I moved it once and it was like, oh, this rock doesn't move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because later on, that's the rock he ends up pushing. Or I was like, what the fuck is this hula hoop thing in the corner of the tank?
Uh-huh.
That's what he pulls to get out. So like they tried to some extent, but they didn't fully realize that. And it was a distraction in my opinion.
Yeah.
So anyways, the bread and butter, is it worth it? All right, really quick, some laundry. So, talked about it earlier, the PS2 version's got a bunch of different changes and everything.
We ain't talking about the PS2 one. We're talking about the Dreamcast one. Leave that shit out of here.
I'm just saying, the option's available if you speak Japanese.
Other than the cool controller.
If you speak Japanese, that option's available. It does perform a little better too. It's 60 frames, so something to consider. However, this game, man, we picked a good timing for this. Maybe like some of these other YouTubers are starting to manipulate the market and whatnot, right? It's going up. It's been on the rise recently.
I don't really know why, but
because they got when we're doing this. I'm just kidding. Oh, it's on a down streak. As soon as I open my
which
app.
one of you guys in the Discord leaked it?
Yeah.
Swoosh, we know it was you.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna, unlike some of these YouTubers that have covered Seaman and be like, I didn't manipulate the market. Milches. Yeah. Anyways, just joking. But yeah, for right now, it looks like
Yeah, we manipulate the market for the price going down. Not
yeah,
up.
yeah.
We have the opposite effect.
Right. Let me pull this up on eBay. Because my shit is going slow.
Mine said it's gone down.
Yeah, as soon as I opened it. So it looks like the last, quote, perfect condition copy sold for $225, and that's the big box version with the microphone and everything.
$225?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Which is really wild because the factory sealed copy sold for $300. Free shipping. Hey. Looks like you can get the disc with the microphone unit for about 150-ish, 120-ish based on
Is that sold or like
condition.
currently available?
These are sold.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely go for this shit on bid. There's someone that got one for $99. That's a good deal. Yeah, I would
Bids
say
are usually less.
right.
You can currently buy the Seaman Sega Dreamcast vintage print ad poster of the fabled feet and fish. The feet and fin.
How much is it? We need a backdrop.
It's $11.
All right.
Kind of tempting,
After
actually. We could frame it. That would be amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah, but just the disc for this game, it looks like it's going around. Anyway, it's all over the place, honestly. But like $50 to $100, honestly, it's kind of high. And then if you're just the disc, yeah, just the loose disc.
I mean, I see $30.
Yeah, it's all over the fucking place.
$30.
And then you've got complete in box copies. It looks like they're going for around 120-ish to 150 based on condition.
The cheapest microphone only. The actual, because the microphone comes in two pieces. There's the part that you plug into your controller, and then there's the actual little mic that plugs into this. It looks like a
It looks like a VMU.
Yeah, it looks like a memory card, because the VMU has to be in the front, and then you slot this into the memory card spot in the back of the Dreamcast. Right. So it's a memory card with just a auxiliary jack for the mic, but it is a two-piece microphone. Cheapest one I'm seeing available is like $40. And that's looks like Japanese.
Selling around 35 to 40-ish. Yeah, there's one for 25 without the little. Oh, and it's another thing. If you want to talk about the little foam piece is almost impossible to find. I have one, but it's literally disintegrating. I kept having to blow off the fucking VMU. I kept having to. So it was just like disintegrating.
Yeah.
Existing.
Mine did not have one.
Yeah, I mean, most of them don't when you see them. Man, this game is really all over the fucking place. There's 115 complete in the box. Mic with no fuzzy part. Okay. I mean, yeah, it looks like based on condition, you're going to spend around 120 to 150-ish. Higher if it's in like pristine condition. We're talking, God, I mean, there's the most recent one, June 8th, 225.
And this is for a boxed.
Right.
Seaman.
Because it comes in a big over box.
Yeah, there's an outer box of the game, and the game isn't a normal like clamshell. I mean, we'll obviously have a picture of this in the video, but it's the not a clamshell, a CD case with the booklet inside the CD case, and then the microphone is inside of the box, and then the box. And the box isn't just like a normal like box. It actually has a separated slot inside for that memory card size microphone. Mm-hmm. So if people are saying complete in box and it's just the Seaman disc in the case, like it's wrong.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's not like complete.
Yep. Now, there is alternate versions that we talked about that were in Japan that's literally just a disc, but that's not what we're talking about.
I mean, the cheapest one I'm seeing available currently, like with everything included, is $150.
Interesting.
That's no foamy piece.
Right.
With foamy piece, the cheapest I got's $175.
Yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference that foamy piece makes.
And the box has stickers on it. So like
really?
Yeah, there's stickers on the box.
Yeah, so I would say 150-ish if you're looking for a complete copy. I'm not going to count the foamy thing as complete.
Like, I don't either.
It's disintegrating. I'm not going to have my foamy thing eventually. Like, it's literally
supposed to be green, and most of the time you see them as like the nasty brown piss yellow color just because of the exposure. Like the foam that kind of foam is not made to last decades.
No.
It disintegrates.
It looks like it's from ancient Egypt, bro. It's bad, dude. But yeah, so let's just say 150-ish for a complete in-box copy of
I'll probably say 150 for complete, but probably 170 to 180 if you want it really clean.
Right. I think that's fair.
Especially with cardboard boxes, like people pay more for clean cardboard boxes without tears, without rips, without stickers. So just kind of consider that.
Pretty unique to have a disc-based game in a cardboard box. Like, it's pretty uncommon. So, especially for like this era, the Dreamcast, I can't think of any other game that's in an overbox like this off the top of my head.
The Dreamcast? Yeah.
It stands out on your shelf. As soon as you see that tape with the caution Seaman, everybody's like, oh, Seaman. Like, I remember I found my copy. I was like, oh, there it is. Like, again, I paid $90 for it. I'm very happy with it at that price. My personal opinion, I think this is an experience, right?
You know what? Yeah, I paid $100, and then 2 weeks later, you got yours for $90 with a foam, and I was like, God, fuck.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out. But yeah, I'm super happy with that price. I think even for 120-ish, this game's an experience. This is something that they're not going to make a sequel to. They did, but they're not going to make a new sequel to. They're not going to remake it. They're not going to remaster it. And I was thinking, because I feel like Seaman was a fairly popular like character in the zeitgeist of Sega, right? but you never saw Seaman in like the Sonic tennis games. You never saw him in the Sonic racing games. He wasn't like a Sega mascot, you know? Like, yeah, I feel like this game's kind of a cult game. It's got like a following, but not at like the high level of like, oh, he might show up in the... I mean, we got Yakuza characters in the Sonic racing game before we got Seaman. You know what I mean?
I think Seaman may have been more known in relevancy in pop culture for the West, specifically because of Leonard Nimoy. But outside of that, like a fish with a face on it as Seaman being like Sonic,
right?
It didn't happen.
It's interesting because it sold really, really well in Japan. That's why we got multiple versions and spawned a sequel that we didn't get. But yeah, he's not someone you could just be like, this is the face of the Dreamcast. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a weird thing where I think the cult following of this game is kind of what leads to the price spike. You know what I mean? Like, I know like Angry Video Game Nerd did a fucking episode on it. Metal Jesus did a review. Early YouTube kind of got their hands on this game and kind of like pumped it up in the popularity. Even though I feel like before even that was a thing, I was like, hey, this is something that I've always wanted from my Dreamcast that I've always looked for. I'm not every collector, like I'm pretty into this shit, but
to be fair to me, like Seaman feels like an essential Dreamcast buy.
I agree.
100% essential. If you have a Dreamcast and you want to be like, I want to collect Dreamcast games, like Seaman is the number one game you need to buy.
Towards the top of the list for sure.
It is the most unique Dreamcast game you will ever play, and it's the only offered on the Dreamcast.
Yes. I think it's probably one of the most unique total games I've played.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wish I would have played it the way it was meant to be played, but I still had a really cool experience with it. It was really fun. I have no regrets about playing it and like raising the Seaman.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel something, which is crazy too, which I didn't expect. Like, it's a fucking game it's a therapy session. It's a $90 therapy session that I bought. I didn't know, but it was fun, man. Like, it's a different kind of fun. I'm not going to sit there and be like, if you love video games and blowing shit up, play Seaman, because that's not what this game is.
Yeah, Seaman crosses into like, it is a game.
Right.
It is very hard to pitch this game to someone who's just kind of a general like player.
Right.
This is a very easy pitch for someone who's collecting, right? And if you're a Dreamcast collector, tell me why you're not buying this game.
Right.
So someone who has a Dreamcast and was like, oh yeah, I have a Dreamcast and I like, Sonic and a couple of the other ones on there, like a casual Dreamcast, this is going to be hard to pitch to you.
For sure.
But this is kind of why I think especially like Metal Jesus would probably gravitate towards talking about this one, because that's that specific group of collectors who look for those kinds of things. And then Angry Video Game Nerds kind of more on that side of like, they're not really collectors per se, but we're going to talk about this weird ass game because we're gamers. Right. But convincing someone to buy this for $100 if you don't already have a Dreamcast would be hard.
Yeah, if I was like, Sherry, you should totally check this game out. She'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, they'd be like, I have zero interest
I already have cats and dogs. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But I would say if you're remotely interested in Pet Simulator, like this is a unique experience. If you want something different, hard to top. Like, this is the most different game I've ever played. And yeah, I go back to, it made me feel something, man. Like, I haven't got that same experience I had with this game. And that's the way to play it. It's an experience. It's not even a game. I haven't felt that way playing anything else. And I was like, when it was over, I was kind of like, damn, it sucks it's over. Like, I was kind of sick of doing it for 8 hours straight, but I kind of wanted more of it, Mm-hmm. And then to learn that the sequel's only in Japan, like, can't even play that. I don't speak Japanese, as we all know from listening to this podcast. Which is actually an interesting side note if you're a collector too, like overseas. If you're in an English-speaking country, you're going to have to buy an American Dreamcast to play this game. This is not released in PAL regions.
Yep.
So unless you speak Japanese, you might be able to save a couple bucks. It is, Japanese version's a little cheaper, but yeah, overall, I'd say this is worth it.
I agree.
It looks like it's going down too, which, I mean, that's good. I want more people to be able to play it. I don't like the idea of like hiding things that I like because it's expensive.
No, and I don't think $150 is outside the realm of possibility for a cardboard box disc-based game that requires a specific peripheral to play.
For sure, and exclusive.
Like,
yeah. 100%. I recommend this game. It's unique. It's an experience, and I made a new friend.
Thanks, Seaman.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think? You interested in Seaman? Have you played Seaman? Have you beat Seaman? Have you raised the Seaman? I want to see how many times I can say Seaman. Let us know in the comments. Again, at Collecti-Bros Proud on all social media. Join the Discord. The invite link is in the show notes.
Make sure you stress Seaman.
Yes, he even tells you. He's like, it's Seaman, M-A-N. Yeah, don't get tongue-tied. Hey, Barry, what's next?
Hold on, what did I title it? Next up, I'm just gonna make it up because I can't remember exactly what I titled this in the schedule. Fishing Frenzy. That's what it's gonna be. I don't really know exactly how it's gonna go because it's kind of just like off the hip kind of deal. You know, but I do know that we've got a very special Pikachu lure that someone wants to try, see if we can get anything off of. But we're gonna talk about fishing games.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun one.
So.
Of course, something I'm passionate about. And if you check out our recent YouTube, Barry uploaded a video playing a fishing game, so...
Real fishing. And appropriate for the summer.
Yep.
Summertime's fish time.
Keeping with the fishing theme. So, we'll see you guys next time. Stay around, stay oppressed, all that jazz. Break that ceiling. Ching! Batman Beyond.
I'm pooped. I'm not the Seaman I used to be.